Prologue. The Lesson of Arrogance. The lecture hall on the moon world of Ulthari Prime was filled with students from across the galaxy. The walls pulsed faintly with bioluminescent veins, casting cold light over tiered rows of scaled, furred, and chitinous faces. At the podium stood Professor Jorth, elder of the Trelvac Dominion, one of the empires that had burned a human colony to ash only decades before. His frilled crest rose with pride, his voice sharp as obsidian shards. "Let us examine," he declared, "the primitive bipedal species that once called themselves humanity. Their colonies were weak, their ships laughable, their courage a tragic delusion. They believed they could stand among the stars, until empires like ours reminded them of their proper place." Holoscreens flickered alive, showing human cities under bombardment. A colony ship split open by energy fire, frozen corpses drifting through the black. The class hissed approval. Laughter rippled through the hall. Professor Jorth's eyes gleamed. This is what happens when prey pretends to be predator. He never noticed the quiet figure in the back row. One who did not laugh. One who had come not to learn, but to remember. The attack that sparked it all. The professor spoke of the massacre of Vega 9 as though it were a clever anecdote. He described how Dominion fleets had cut communications, trapped the colony's defenders, and slaughtered civilians. "Do you see?" he barked. "They built their homes in fragile domes, thinking themselves safe. One strike of our beams, and their paradise shattered. Their children," he paused for effect, savoring the gasps, "floated into the void like pale weeds torn from soil." He grinned. "And Earth? Earth did nothing. Too distant, too powerless, too human." The hall erupted with cruel amusement, but in the shadows, the quiet student's hands clenched. He had been on Vega 9, he had seen the flames, carried siblings into bunkers, and sworn an oath when the sky fell. Celebrating humanity's death, Jorth changed the holoscreens to images of alien victories. Human ships breaking apart under superior firepower. Human ambassadors mocked in Dominion courts. The crowd of students took notes, eager to learn the strategy of humiliation. "They were naive," Jorth hissed. "They believed treaties had meaning. They believed mercy was real. Their weakness was not merely military, it was cultural. Too civilized to endure the galaxy's brutality. They were relics before they ever began." Another round of cruel laughter shook the room. And yet, beneath that laughter, a whisper stirred. One student at the back rose slowly. His cloak shimmered, breaking apart into nothingness as advanced adaptive fibers deactivated. The figure revealed a face of flesh, scarred but resolute. Two human eyes glared across the hall. The silence that followed was suffocating. The reveal, a human among them. The man's voice was low, steady, filled with iron. "You speak of weakness. You speak of endings. But you are wrong, Professor." Gasps filled the hall. The aliens recoiled, some bearing fangs, others scrambling in fear. The human stepped forward. His uniform, black with a silver insignia, caught the bioluminescent light. A symbol few had seen, but many had heard whispered in dread. The sigil of Earth's hidden fleets. Jorth's frills wilted. "Impossible," he stammered. "Humans were broken. Humans ran." The man's gaze was unyielding. "We do not run. We wait." The silence, before the storm word spread like fire across Ulthari Prime. A human, alive, stood in their lecture halls, unafraid. But it was not only rumor. Across the void, comms channels shifted. For centuries, Earth had been silent, watching. Now transmissions whispered like thunderclouds on the horizon. Fleet mobilizations, dreadnoughts leaving dockyards hidden beyond nebulae. Massive engines igniting in silence, shaking the fabric of the void. Alien outposts reported shadows blotting out stars. Patrols vanished without signal. Trade convoys never arrived. And across every comm, a single phrase echoed: "Earth remembers." The awakening of retribution. The first strike was surgical. Dominion fleets gathered near the Cradle Nebula, boasting of their victory, when reality itself tore open. Human dreadnoughts, colossal, angular, black as night, emerged. Their hulls bore no banners, only the silent mark of Earth. The aliens laughed at first. "One fleet? This is their grand retaliation? Then the humans fired. One volley. That was all it took. Entire Dominion capital ships split apart like rotten fruit. Their shields, once thought impenetrable, cracked and folded in seconds. Firestorms lit the nebula brighter than any star. Alien laughter died in screams, fleets that blotted out suns, but that was only the beginning. The galaxy soon learned the scale of Earth's patience, from hidden shipyards carved into asteroid belts, from colonies buried under ice, from fortresses cloaked in dark energy fields. They came. Thousands of ships, tens of thousands. Fleets so vast they eclipsed suns, their silhouettes blotting entire constellations from view. Humanity had been silent not out of weakness, but out of strategy. They had studied, built, and waited. Now they unleashed it all. Dominion fortresses fell like sandcastles under a rising tide. Cities burned with surgical precision, no waste, no mercy. Alien generals sent pleas for surrender, but comms returned only static. Earth did not negotiate. Earth answered. The answer that shook the galaxy. Professor Shorth fled his lecture hall as human ground forces descended on Ulthari Prime. They came like storms, drop pods streaking fire through the atmosphere, armored soldiers breaking lines like thunder through glass. The professor, once so confident, trembled as he was dragged before the human operative who had unmasked himself in his class. "You taught lies," the man said coldly. "Now you will witness truth." Orbit above cracked with fire as Dominion defense fleets disintegrated. On the ground, alien banners were torn down. Humanity's vengeance was not a shout. It was an earthquake that swallowed empires whole. The professor's screams were drowned by the roar of engines, the collapse of fortresses, the silence of annihilation. Aftermath. The whisper that remains when the smoke cleared. The galaxy was quiet. Dominion space was rubble. Fleets that once strutted across trade routes were nothing but drifting carcasses. Survivors huddled in ruins, whispering a new truth. Never provoke Earth again. Professors rewrote their lectures. Children were taught not of human weakness, but of human wrath. Commanders swore never to test Earth's patience, because the galaxy had learned humanity's silence is long, their vengeance infinite, and somewhere, on a scarred world once burned by Dominion fire, a child looked to the sky, not with fear, but with pride. Epilogue. The infinite patience of Earth, the man who had revealed himself in the lecture, vanished once more into the void, another shadow among fleets without number. His words remained, etched into the memory of every survivor. We are patient, but we are not forgiving. And so the galaxy carried on, always glancing toward the blue-white star called Sol, fearing the silence, dreading the answer that might one day come again. For the galaxy had seen what happens when arrogance meets humanity, and it had learned the final lesson.